No Joe Burrow? Joe Mixon hasn't done anything? No. Rams going to win this one 35-20.
Welcome to be Continued. We're your host. I'm Christian.
And I'm Caleb.
And I'm Riley.
In today's episode, we're not only going to cover the NFL like we always do, but we're actually going to get a little college football involved. But first, we're going to start off. Who do you guys think is the best team in the NFL through 2 weeks?
I mean, other than the Rams?
They're not even top 10. So let's get out of that.
Not top 10?
They're not top 10.
That's blasphemous.
I'm sorry.
Blasphemous.
I think the visual test wise, I think it's definitely the 49ers. I think that they don't really have many gaps. But the Dolphins are up there as well because their offense is just as good as the 49ers offense. Mm-hmm. But those are the only two that really come to mind when I think of the best team in the NFL right now.
I mean, I got to be honest. If we're not talking about, like, if we throw the past away and just base it off of what we have seen this year, is Dallas.
Yes.
And it's Dallas, like, by a lot. Because they've had no difficulty with anybody. They look fantastic on both sides of the ball. But, I mean, they're Dallas, so we know that something's going to happen.
They're Dallas.
We know something's going to happen, but I got to go Dallas because when you play a bad team, what are you supposed to do to a bad team?
Beat them bad. And
they've scored. I mean, they own New York City right now. They've outscored them 70-10. Like,
that's true. But that's
the thing that's most like. This is what's frightening me is they're doing it without even top flight quarterback play, and it's not because Dak's not playing good. It's they don't need Dak.
He's a Dak hater. Always a Dak hater.
Yeah, I mean they've decimated both New York teams, but then again, that's the only reason I didn't say Dallas is because they're the New York teams. They're a Jets team that lost their quarterback that they just went out and got in the offseason in the first game, in the first few seconds of the game. And then we're talking about the New York Giants as well. So I mean that's the only reason I didn't pick Dallas and I picked the 49ers because they have more impressive competition so far.
I mean, I think the Jets are a better team than the Steelers.
Yeah.
Matt Canada might be the worst coordinator in all football.
So, I mean, between Kenny Pickett and Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett is one of the few quarterbacks that I would take Zach Wilson over, honestly.
It really is.
Zach Wilson at least has a high-end arm. It's just the rest of it's not there.
You know, I got to give Shannon Sharp credit. Did you see what he said the other day?
No, I don't watch ESPN.
He said Zach Wilson couldn't play dead in a horror movie.
That's a good insult.
I mean, and he's not wrong. Like that, like him and Justin Fields are very similar because they're very talented players. Like, let's not get it twisted. They have great potential and talent. The problem is they don't know how to read a football field.
Yeah, there's bigger problems going on in Chicago.
Justin Fields is number one. There's been open players. It's not Luke Getsky.
No, I mean, like, did you see what happened in Chicago today?
No, what happened in Chicago?
Defensive coordinator resigned.
Huh?
Dang, I didn't even see that. Bro.
He's never going to work in football again, most likely.
Oh.
Like, he got some charges.
Oh. All right, Chicago.
So Chicago's got some problems, let me just say.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot going on there.
I don't know if they're worried about the football field.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the information. For a guy that likes to say he's kept up, I didn't even know that happened.
You're sleeping on that.
Yeah, I don't worry about Chicago. That's probably my problem. But anyway, let's move on to our next topic. What's been y'all's biggest surprise so far through 2 weeks?
So far, probably be actually how good Miami has been so far and how they haven't. I mean, obviously it's only week 2.
Tua.
But Tua is there. He's the number one quarterback in passing yards, which is surprising. But I think the only other thing that I could say probably surprises me a little more is Joe Burrow's play and how kind of slowed down and how like groggy it almost looks. Like he just doesn't look like he's the same Joe Burrow.
Well, I actually went through this yesterday with all the Joe Burrow stats, September versus the rest of the season, and I'll say this. Joe Burrow's always been a horrible September quarterback. Well, let's not get it twisted here, guys. September, his win percentage is like a 38%.
Maybe that's why he couldn't start Ohio State. Maybe he came out and looked terrible. They were like, get out of here.
But if you look at his numbers, he has a 38 win percentage in September. That's not good. He completes. I mean, let's not good. 65% is not bad. Like it's above average. But in every other month, it's closer to 70%. That's elite quarterback play. And I'm not going to say it's just his pure play that's causing him to play bad right now. It's also you got to take an effect. He didn't play preseason. He wasn't in there most of training camp. Like, people don't understand how hard it is to go straight from doing nothing to play an NFL game.
And then he re-aggravated the injury that he had in preseason.
You know who does realize that? Deshaun Watson.
Oh, boy.
Your boy Deshaun Watson.
I'm off.
I told you.
I'm off.
That year off, nobody's the same after that. Like, and he's just not there.
I didn't think he'd ever be the same. I thought he could at least get, like, I don't know, close. Like, not close, but maybe, like, 80% there. Yeah. Have you, can I just, before Monday night, have you ever seen a quarterback commit a face mask penalty?
No.
He did it twice in like a 10-play span. Like, what are you doing? Also, I think it must be acknowledged. Sorry, Nick Chubb.
Prayers out to Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Have they said what it is? It says it's a significant leg injury is all I've heard.
They haven't said. My guess is what I've kept hearing is it's a dislocated knee with all 4 ligaments torn.
That's worst case scenario for him.
Yeah, that's probably going to be more like 2 years out, not just a year.
That's it also has the possibility of ending his career.
Which is why I said I told you guys Kareem Hunt was going to get signed. He was just signed 4 hours ago.
Yeah, and he'll be third string once Cam Akers arrives.
Oh, jeez.
Ford's going to be first. Then it's going to be Cam. And then it's going to be Kareem Hunt.
If Cam Akers is as good as you say, why does Sean McVay hate the man?
Because he's a he guy. He's a Cam guy. He's not a team guy. He's all about himself.
He also seems to be.
That's not Sean McVay.
He also seems to be injured for a majority of the games throughout the season.
I mean, it was like people were on the Cam Akers hype train preseason because he came in stronger, bigger. And everybody's like, oh, he's going to have a monster year. Coming off of 3 100-yard performances to end last year. And then he came in and, like, didn't even get the ball in game 1. And it was...
His problem is Cam Akers. It's never been... He's not physical enough. He's not agile enough. He has some of the worst ball carrier vision I've ever seen. Like, he'll have a hole over here, and he always goes toward all the people. I'm like, no.
In fairness to him, the opportunities he's had to play, there's been a terrible offensive line in front of him. Like, last year they had nobody. And he got hurt the year before, right? And the year before he got hurt,
he came back in playoffs.
Tried to let Tom Brady get one more Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's the reason Aaron Rodgers thinks he has a chance to play this postseason.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers does have a chance. Them herbal medicines, man.
Yeah. I think, like, my biggest takeaway, well, I would say 2, honestly. First one, obviously, like,
Puka Nakuna.
The Rams are a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Like, as a Ram fan,
you're
like,
ecstatic.
I mean, I knew they'd be better than last year, and especially like with Matthew Stafford healthy, because I've always been a believer in Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford is a superstar, top 5 talent quarterback.
Oh yeah,
and I think nobody recognizes him for that because he was on all those bad Detroit teams, and then he won a Super Bowl, and he had some pretty big plays to get him there, and as soon as he gets hurt, everybody forgets that he's any good. And it's crazy. And so he's healthy. The Rams look really good. I think the 49ers are probably the best team in football. And the Rams are only 1 score away. And I know it was really 2 scores. Like, that last-second field goal is whatever. But, like...
The Niners didn't get up 10 points till, like, later in the game.
Yeah, and honestly, if it hadn't been for Kyron Williams' interception, is on Matthew Stafford, but it went off at Williams' hands. Like, I think the Rams might win that game because that gave the 49ers momentum. And the Rams were ahead... and they were trading back and forth, and the Rams were driving again, and
not to mention
turned it away.
The Rams did something no other team has been able to do up to this point. They showed that there's some kinks in that armor of Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Like before Sunday, we were all like, "Is he stoppable?" Like,
yeah.
Any game he'd start and finish, he'd win, and he still won. But he didn't look great. Like he looked okay. Now a bad game for him was no turnovers and a rushing touchdown. Like, that's still a good game. Like, I'd take that. But he didn't look great.
Yeah.
He missed on a lot of deep bombs.
Yeah, and I think my other takeaway really is that, man, I don't know if you've ever seen a city deflate, or a fan base deflate like New York Jets fans. That team was looking like a legitimate contender. 4 plays in, Rodgers is done. But my takeaway is the Jets don't just have a quarterback problem. Robert Saleh is not the right guy for that job either. I think they need to get him out of there. I said before that draft they should have drafted Devontae Smith because I thought Devontae Smith was the best receiver in that draft. Even better than Jamar Chase.
And Sam Darnold's still better than Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I said keep Sam Darnold, build a team around him. Instead, you draft Zach Wilson, and then you try to build around Zach Wilson. But, I mean, Garrett Wilson's good, but is he better than Devontae Smith?
I think Saleh's starting to lose that locker room.
Also, I agree with you, but I also think that Wilson is not very happy with his quarterback so far, Garrett Wilson, because there's 2 games back-to-back where I've seen him on the sideline just pretty much, he's not looking like he's ripping into him, but he's ripping into him.
He did kind of stick up for him, though. I don't know if you saw his quote.
He
said, basically, like, quarterback's the least of the problems in that room. Like, there's a lot more going on.
So, when I went back and watched that Cowboys-Jets game, I should preference by saying this. He didn't, when you go back and look, don't look at the stat sheet, because they went down 20-10, and then he went from he was actually playing good most of the game. Like, for a guy that doesn't have a great offensive line, weapons, he has Garrett Wilson and a bunch of nothing. I mean, they refuse to use Breece Hall. He only had 4 carries. Like, we all watched that Monday night game. It seemed as if every time Breece Hall touched the ball, it was right down the sideline for like an 80-yard run.
Well, you got Dalvin Cook and you got Breece Hall. You cannot run the ball 11 times.
Yes, it's ludicrous. Yeah. And you know what the Cowboys struggle against? The run. And they refuse to try and exploit that. And then, but Zach Wilson didn't play horrible. Like, when the game was in reach, he didn't throw turnover-worthy throws. Like, the balls where they were need to. And that touchdown to Garrett Wilson, like, you said Garrett Wilson looked like he was ripping into him. It actually just looked like they were having sort of a conversation. Like, Garrett Wilson has already said he's improved a lot. And I think what the Jets need, because it looks like Saleh's starting to lose the locker room between Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, like a lot of your young players, and let's not forget, they have a young roster. And they're not used to going on Twitter and them getting ripped. Like, Sauce Gardner had a tweet, deleted that. Breece Hall had a tweet, deleted that. And the reason this is happening is the coaching staff isn't utilizing them the way they need to. Like, Sauce Gardner was not traveling with CeeDee Lamb. Why was that? Like, every time he was on CeeDee, he did great. But Saleh doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, they also believe in DJ Reed, too.
Oh, jeez.
So
I think that the pass game, it was good. I mean, when they went down really fast, the pass game was kind of like not there. But so that in that case, they definitely should have utilized the running game. Only 11 rushes is crazy for the 2 running backs that they have.
Speaking of cornerback stats, I saw a stat on my way here. It was like cornerbacks that have like the least yards allowed or something, or yards per route or something like that. One of those stats. Number 4, Darion Kendrick. Number 10, Ahkello Witherspoon. The 2 guys that are on the Rams.
I'll say this: the Ramsey's a great talent. He just didn't fit the scheme all that well. The Rams now have a bunch of guys that fit the scheme, and that scheme is rolling. But the biggest surprise, I'll say, for me through the first 2 weeks is how bad the Giants have looked. Like, I've told you guys, I've always been big on the Giants, and I know you two aren't the biggest fans, but I think even you guys can.
Daniel Jones.
I didn't expect the Giants to go 0-2 and be the only team that are 0-2 right now.
They're not 0-2.
They're not.
They're 1-1.
They came back and won.
They did.
They played the Cardinals.
They played the Cardinals. I remember that because I wanted to bring up Josh Dobbs' first NFL rushing touchdown ever, where he trucked the linebacker and then ran it in. Yeah. But I did look at the score later, and they had lost.
Like, I'll say this.
Kind of like a participation trophy win.
Like, they were down 60-0 first 6 quarters, and that looked bad. But I'm like, the Giants can't be that bad. And then you watch the comeback, and that was the first time Daniel Jones really showed, hey, I do have some $40 million potential in me. But you're like, are they that good? And I'll be honest with you, I think we'll get to the predictions later, but I think we can all agree on what's going to happen tomorrow night. Like, it's not going to probably be too pretty. But he looked very good. Saquon got hurt. And I don't know if you guys saw the most hilarious thing. The NFL's suing the NFLPA, saying running backs are faking injuries.
Yeah, I did see that. They said that the NFL's telling them to exaggerate their injuries.
The one I'll say that's a little fishy is Eckler. Eckler seems a little fishy because he never got hurt in that game 1, but somehow he came back with an injury. Like, we all saw that game. There was nowhere where that part of the body was even close to getting injured.
But you know what? I mean, it's hard because you've got these guys that want the top dollar, and they just, like, Derrick Henry, guys like that have, like, he's carried that Titans team, and there's no doubt how valuable he is. But you also look at the Rams' running game is alive again. Kyron Williams was like a 4th or 5th round pick last year.
That's how easy it is to find.
He's not like,
and it's not a guarantee that your running back's going to make it. I mean, they put a load on that running back, such as Nick Chubb. In this situation, I mean, granted, the tackle was very dirty looking, but I mean, they definitely should like get something in there to protect the running backs at least a little bit, because
Kareem Hunt. What was Kareem Hunt? He was
Third round pick.
Yeah, like he wasn't a high pick.
He was dominating Kansas City, so he decided he wanted to become a punter.
Yeah, he had like a Hall of Fame career on his hands, and then he punted that away. Oh man! All right, so is that your takeaway? The Giants?
Giants they haven't been, and I'm going to say this going forward, they can't be as great as they were in the second half. They can't be as bad as they've been the first. Like they're somewhere in between, but they have a tough stretch coming up.
I'll tell you what it reminds me of. Some 7-9 bull.
Ran.
And not to,
That's some Jeff Fisher's nonsense going on over there.
and not to mention their division, the NFC East looks pretty good. All the other three teams. The Commanders, Sam Howell has looked pretty good for the last couple weeks.
It's almost as if somebody had said that.
If he didn't have Terry McLaurin, I don't think
They
he
barely
would
beat the Cardinals and they barely beat the Broncos.
Hold up now. An Eagles fan cannot be saying if he doesn't have Terry McLaurin, and like Jalen Hurts doesn't have one of the best receiving cores in the
You
league.
guys remember what the score was when the Rams played the Broncos last year?
I do.
Christmas Day.
They had a better quarterback now.
Baker Mayfield.
We'll talk about him later. Anyway, we're going to get to our next topic. And this is the one I think me and Riley have been anticipating. I know you probably haven't watched much of them. You're not a big college football guy. But is Deion Sanders not only the face of college football, but is he now the face of football in general? Like, let me start this off. I'm going to say college football, yes. NFL football, he's getting close. And the reason I'm saying he's getting close, did you know that Saturday night game that started at 10 and until 3 a.m. was the most watched night game in college football history with over 9 million people watching that game?
I find that hard to believe.
It's true. It's the most streamed college football game in college football history. It's the most, through 3 weeks, Colorado's the most viewed team in college football by a landslide. And it's all coming down to one person. Coach Prime.
And Warren Sapp's coming to coach next year. Coach the D-line.
They need it.
That coaching team that got brought in with Deion Sanders and his entire team, it's crazy. Nobody expected them to kind of take over college football like this, and he's such an influence to those boys. Like if you watch videos of them in the locker room and talking, he doesn't hate on them, he doesn't talk down on them. If they're doing something wrong, he's in there with them.
I'm ready to run through a wall every time I hear him speak. I'm like,
he's also got his son as like, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Like he's going to be a Heisman finalist for sure if he doesn't win it.
The best.
And you've also got his other son on defense.
Shiloh.
He's balling too. So,
And then you also have Travis Hunter, who's playing both sides of the ball and is bowling on both sides of the ball.
Thank you, Henry Blackburn.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just preference. He doesn't deserve to get death threats for a football hit.
No, but
That was still a dirty hit done on Travis Hunter.
If you're gonna act tough, hit somebody late, and then flex on them while they're on the ground in pain, you kind of deserve to get, hated on. Maybe not death threats, but you walked into it. This is the most loved person in college football right now, and you just took him out on purpose on live TV. Everybody saw it. So you're bound to get hate.
I think he's really just trying to make a statement, though. He wasn't trying to hurt.
He was trying to make a statement.
He's not trying to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Like, what's his name? I remember, like, years ago, I think it was Mike Mitchell, who cheap shot at Sam Bradford, like, on his way out.
Yeah.
And he, like, tore Bradford's ACL and, like, everything. And Bradford was having a good start to the season. And he was, like, flexing over him. He didn't know that, like, Bradford had tore his ACL and all that. But it looks bad when you see it.
Yeah.
And, like, that was a bad-looking hit. But, of course, he's just playing football.
And you got to also look.
It's football.
That attitude isn't, like, you don't kind of just play with that attitude. That attitude is taught. Like, those coaches definitely have something to do with that because you could see them before the game. The coaches are in the middle of the field cussing out the Colorado players.
I'll say this. Jay Norval, I thought y'all were going to get blown out because you had the audacity to come out here and say, my mother taught me that when I'm in a room with adults, I take off my glasses and I take off my hat. I thought Deion Sanders was going to run up the score, but I'll tell you what, Colorado State was in that game.
Yeah, Deion Sanders had to worry about winning the game before he could worry about running up the score.
I actually did watch Travis Hunter's video on that game, and the speech that he gave in the locker room was definitely something like that probably encouraged them. Deion Sanders gave a long speech, and it was very encouraging for them.
I think what really is interesting to me is that, you're getting all this attention to Colorado and all that.
Breaking news. Rams trade Cam Akers to the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay. Anyway, you got all this Colorado stuff. They haven't played anybody. Like, they barely beat Colorado State. Colorado State is not like a.
They played the second best team in all of college football last year in week 1. TCU.
Yeah, TCU's.
That's my one concern about them is once you get towards the end of the season and you have to start playing better competition, especially once you start getting into the bowls and whatever. Are they even going to stand a chance against Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, LSU?
They stand a chance if they have Travis Hunter. They're going to lose this weekend because there's no Travis Hunter. They're going to lose versus USC because there's no Travis Hunter. Like, Travis Hunter is that guy. Like, he's a great corner, and I think he's an even better receiver. Like, he's just a beast.
Granted, he has the best quarterback in college football right now throwing to him.
I mean, he's no Caleb Williams.
He's better than Caleb Williams. As a pure quarterback, he's better. Caleb Williams is the flashy guy. Shedeur Sanders is the guy.
We'll see.
If I was a GM, I'm taking Shedeur 7 days a week and twice on
So
Sunday.
let's go back through his quarterbacks. Carson Wentz.
Daniel Jones.
Super Bowl champion.
Daniel Jones.
Playoff winner.
Who else is he in love with? What's that turd that started for the Commanders last year?
Taylor Heineke.
I didn't ever like Heineke.
Yes, you
I
did.
hated Heineke.
Yes, you did. You liked Heineke.
Hold on, we need to go back in time.
Yeah.
I've always hated Heineke. I've always called him a pea-shot arm who can't throw a ball over 20 yards.
Oh, do you remember when he said that Russell Wilson threw the best deep ball in the NFL?
I do remember that, actually.
I don't know.
I do remember that,
I don't know if
actually.
you guys saw those 2 deep bombs in the first half. Those things look pretty
Russell
pretty.
Wilson's run game
just-
looked a lot better than his passing game.
Yeah, always has.
He's a great first half quarterback right now. Second half, he sucks.
Yeah.
So, but to answer your question, my opinion, the face of football, no way, no shot, because people just don't care enough about college football, in my opinion. Some do, but there's enough people that just don't care at all, like me. But could he be the face of college football? I think right now he is. But the reason is because Alabama is like not Alabama right now. They've got something going on. They don't have a quarterback right now, so they're not themselves.
Yeah.
Georgia is just like, I don't know, that like I think Georgia has been so good that they're boring, and they're not Alabama. You know, like Alabama was great and they were expected to be great, and then Georgia all of a sudden kind of like took the mantle.
need a mailman.
But people don't like Georgia like they like Bama. You know, it's like when the Astros are better than the Yankees, and have been a lot better than the Yankees for the last 10 years. But people don't follow the Astros the way they follow the Yankees.
No.
Yeah.
And so, like, people don't want them to take that mantle, but they do. Just like in the NFL with the Patriots. Like, Patriots have fans everywhere. Or Dallas back in the 90s when they became America's team. Because they kept winning. They're still America's team because of that. But, like...
I think also something that helps him become the face of college football, because I also do think that he is the face of college football right now, is that he is the main coach and maybe the only coach right now that controls the media, for the most part. I don't think the only comments that I've seen in the media from college football players or coaches is after or before they've lost to Colorado.
Oh, yeah. And then I'll say this. Like, before this year, I'll be honest, I never watched college football. Like, I didn't care about it. I could...
Just Tim Tebow. I watched those Swamp Kings.
You see, I was only 3 when he was playing in college football, so
The jump pass.
I watched
Chris Leak was a baller, too.
I watched last season because, I was in college, so I was kind of surrounded by it, so...
But once I saw Colorado was on my screen that week 1 and I turned that on, I was like, hold on, they got a quarterback I love to watch. Like, most of the time when I watch college football, I turn it right off because I don't know about you guys, but after watching NFL for years and studying it, every single time I see a catch and the guy only had 1 foot, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right.
The hashes are always weird to me, too. Like how the college hashes are wider than the pro hashes. Like, why? You got these kickers who are not as good as pro kickers making much more difficult kicks. Why?
Well, the uprights are also longer. That's
still,
why the
like,
kickers are better in college than they are.
Still, though, like, just have it uniform. That would be one field.
And I'll say this, before Shedor's spiral, like, I know this is nitpicking, I usually don't like the way the football looks when it spirals. Like, it just looks weird with that white stripe on it spiraling through I'm just like, ugh. Well, versus an NFL ball, when that thing spirals, it just looks pretty. But, all right, we're going to move on, because you've already answered it. All right, game predictions, guys. I only got 4 games, because I was looking at all the other games, and like the prime time for 4 o'clock window, the 2 games are Cowboys-Cardinals. We all know who's going to win in that game.
Cowboys are winning that one.
Cowboys by about 30.
And then the Rams are playing, not the Rams, the Seahawks are playing somebody else. And it was not a good game. Like, they were all bad games from, like, the 1 o'clock window. And it was like, I really don't feel like picking up. So we're going to start off with the Thursday night game, and I probably should have knocked this one off. But Giants at Niners. Niners are 10-point favorites. I think we all have the same pick. Caleb, start.
Niners.
Bye.
You know what? I'm going to believe in the Giants defense having a statement. I'm going to say 49ers win 20-13.
All right.
I just don't think Daniel Jones. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be an ugly game.
Oh yeah.
Low scoring,
especially with no
ugly.
Saquon.
Yeah, no Saquon. Let me rephrase: 20-6.
No Andrew Thomas as well.
20-3.
But no, I think my thing with the Saquon going out is that I believe that they started their comeback before, but I believe that the brunt of their comeback was after Saquon got hurt.
No,
it wasn't.
No. Saquon, they got all the way back down by 3. No, they tied the game with Saquon. Saquon got hurt on the last drive.
All right. Well, in that case, the 49ers are winning. I'm going to go with pretty much the same thing. I mean, I don't want to say the Giants aren't going to score because there's a chance that they kick a field goal. But I'll go ahead and just say 24-9.
If the Giants win this game, they'll have to do it 3 ways. They got to keep the explosive going with Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt was the reason they got the comeback going. And I'll say this, if it wasn't for Puka and Nakuna, you might have saw that game and went, God darn it, we should have took him. But guess what?
He had 2 catches.
Now you don't care because you have the best rookie wide receiver in football.
Not the best rookie wide receiver. He leads the NFL in receptions,
he's the best wide receiver right
in
now.
yards, not touchdowns. That's Kyron Williams.
I just think he came out of nowhere. You said last week that he wasn't going to have a good week this coming week. He said that he was going to slow down.
Sure. But that's because that's how most receivers are in the Rams system.
I agree.
Outside of Cooper Kupp.
I agree, but since Cooper Kupp's still out, Higbee and Nakua are just showing up.
We'll talk about this later when we get to the Rams game, but I got somebody for a comparison right now for Puka that I kind of like. It's been on my mind. But if the Giants win this game, they got to play turnover-free football.
Yes.
Keep the explosive going. Protect Daniel Jones. And most importantly, and this is going to be the hardest one because they've struggled with this through 2 weeks, they got to stop the run. The easiest team, or should I say the best team at running the football in the NFL has been and always will be any team that runs the Kyle Shanahan system with Kyle Shanahan calling the plays. That is the best. I think me and you guys could go run for about 5 yards of carry behind that line.
Not to mention that Christian McCaffrey is just one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Pretty good.
Hey.
Well, he's healthy.
When he's healthy.
You know I always root for the Christians.
All right. It's getting cut out.
I had to get that in. All right, anyway, I'm going to take the Niners win this game because I don't see all 3 of those things happen. And I'll be honest, because he already said he expects it to be a Giants defense statement game, that makes me even more nervous because last time he said a Giants statement game, they lost 40-0.
Well, I did say 20-3 as my final score.
So what about
final prediction?
So if the Cowboys did 40-0, right? And I think the Niners can be better than the Cowboys. But right now I have the Cowboys as the best. 55-0 Niners. There we go.
That's insane.
Yep, I'm doing
He
it.
thinks the backups are coming in and throwing up touchdowns too.
Oh, yeah. Sam Darnold's going to claim the starting spot in the second half.
Sam Darnold will have some teams looking at him maybe.
I'm telling you something. The Jets should be offering something for Sam Darnold.
They should.
Yeah, don't get Carson Wentz. I've been on this.
I agree with somebody said they should be offering whatever they can to the Minnesota Vikings for Kirk Cousins. Aren't the Vikings are 0-2 right now?
Yep.
0-2?
0-2.
I don't know about you. Kirk Cousins look good.
Kirk Cousins he's one of the top quarterbacks in yards right now. He's throwing the ball pretty good. His defense sucks.
He's on pace to set every NFL record passing.
Yes.
Why did the Vikings play that game and go, we're just going to go for stopping the pass? Who cares if the Eagles run the ball? That's the best thing they're at. But anyway, we're going to move on. Next game. Steelers at Raiders. Sunday Night Football. Raiders are 1.5-point favorites.
The Raiders just lost this week to the Bills, didn't they?
38-10.
Yeah. I'm not a believer in Garoppolo. I mean, I kind of am, but also...
GQ?
Yeah, I don't know. But...
That's quarterback I believe in. You can add that to the list.
So the other team...
Jimmy?
He's a winner.
The other team has Pickett. So, I mean, it's not really...
Yeah.
But, I mean, if the Steelers come in and play some dirty football like they did against the Browns, I think that they have a chance to definitely win this one because they could take out Josh Jacobs and Jimmy Garoppolo.
The thing I should say, I don't know if Devontae Adams is playing. He did have a concussion at the end of that game.
Yep.
He might play, he might not.
Speaking of concussions, Anthony Richardson's down in concussion protocol too.
R.I.P. my fantasy team.
I think neither one of the teams are very good. And I believe in Jimmy G and his ability to win games, even though they got blown out by the Bills. But I think
You trust Mike Tomlin a lot more than you do Josh McDaniels.
no. I think the Raiders are going to win.
I mean,
I think the Raiders are going to win 16-13. Both of those offenses are going nowhere.
So you have Raiders 16-13. You said you have...
I'm going to go with like 14-10 Raiders because I think it's just going to be a defensive game because both offenses are kind of meh.
Darn it, guys. I was kind of hoping you'd both go Steelers and I was going to go Raiders here. But I don't think we can go full sweep on the Raiders just because I don't think I can trust Josh McDaniels all that much. Like, especially if they don't... If they have Devontae Adams, I think they win. But I'm just going to help myself here and just make it more guaranteed that the Raiders win because I hate Pittsburgh almost as much as I do Dallas, but not as much.
My issue with Pittsburgh is that Najee Harris, watching him today, actually saw a clip from him today. I've realized that he is probably one of the slowest running backs I've ever seen.
His running right now isn't his fault. It's because the offensive coordinator, he calls run plays on 60% on first down, 53% on second down. Like, if the team knows you're going to run the ball and you're still running the ball, guess what? You're going to get stopped.
I think I saw the clip that you're talking about. The person was like, I'm pretty sure I'm faster than Najee Harris. What you don't realize is, like, those are freak athletes running after him. And he's still running away from them. Like, those guys are running like a 4.40, like faster than anyone we've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know? Like, think of the fastest person we've ever played any sport with. They're faster.
What's your 40 time?
Like,
I don't even know what my 40 is.
We got to get the clock out.
so, like, it's easy to be like that armchair quarterback guy that's like, oh, he's so slow. Is he? You know?
Like, this has one of those feelings of that Saints-Titans game from week 1 where it was like 16-15, mostly field goals. Yeah. I could see this game, especially if Devontae Adams doesn't go, like, all field goals. I'll say Steelers win like 12-9. Next game, we're going to do the first of the 2 Monday Night Football games. Eagles at Buccaneers. Eagles are 6.5-point favorites.
I don't like the Eagles being up in favorites. They've kind of other than like their run game last week, and they just kind of just looked mediocre to me. They don't look like the Eagles that everybody was expecting to see. They're not. The defense is okay, but I mean the defense is also a bunch of Georgia rookies. So
well, there's
I mean,
that, and then you guys are getting through injuries. Like, your cornerback room's getting decimated.
Yeah, and that's always cornerbacks have kind of always been our weak spot anyway. And now that we're losing them, but I mean. It is the Bucs and Baker Mayfield's behind the line, but he's looked pretty good for the last 2 weeks.
Baker's back. Baker's back.
All right, I'm picking the Eagles now. But I don't think it's going to be too big of a difference. I think it'll probably be like a 1 touchdown difference, like a 24-17.
All right, so they cover the spread.
I think the Eagles win this one 31-17. I think Baker's going to throw a pick 6. I think Baker's not going to look very good for most of the game. It's going to make it interesting for a little bit. And I think the Eagles are just going to be better than the Bucs.
I'll say this. Baker, ever since he went to Sean McVay, has looked a lot better. Carson Wentz
dude, he was terrible in the first half of that first game.
Well, he was only there, what, 24
and then he figured
hours?
out the game plan in Tampa Bay. Throw to Mike Evans. He's always open.
I saw a theory, and it was apparently that there's been an injury in both Monday Night Football games so far.
3.
Yep. And the theory is that if they do it this way, then like somebody's gonna get hurt almost every Monday night, and they're predicting that Mike Evans might be the one when the Bucs play Monday night.
Hold on, we don't wish
Is that the script?
Throw that script away.
No, I just saw it. I think I saw it on TikTok today, and I thought it was interesting. But
I'll say that, like, Baker, if you look, the Buccaneers are playing very smart with him. Like, ever since Baker's been healthy, because if you look at his the 8 games prior to his shoulder injury, he was very efficient. He threw 13 touchdowns and 2 picks. And now since the 8 games, his previous 8 games, he's thrown 7 touchdowns, only 2 picks. He's playing very efficient football. He's throwing the ball very accurate. And I'll say this, he has the Buccaneers locker room behind him. Like, they love them some Baker Mayfield, and it feels, and I think you might have mentioned this, I don't remember if you said it or not, but it just seems whenever the whole world's ready to write Baker Mayfield off, he just comes back and better than you're expecting.
Yeah.
it's kind of what
he could throw a Hail Mary.
It's kind of what you expected for Carson Wentz.
Like, I'll say that I think Baker Mayfield, like, this isn't just a good version of Baker Mayfield. He's starting to play like the first overall pick he was drafted to be.
Yep.
But I'll say I don't think they're winning this Monday night, and the main reason is this is the first time Jalen Hurts has played Tampa Bay since they beat him in the playoffs. and it's in Tampa Bay. You don't think Jalen Hurts has some thing in the back of his head like, oh, I'm going to show these boys?
I did say last week that I don't think I think the Eagles are going to lose within the first 3 games. So I guess I'm going against it now. But.
And then I'll say this. Jalen Hurts should have had more touchdowns last week. Like, how hard... Like, everybody's like, oh, what a deep bomb to Devontae Smith the second time. The first time, he threw it behind him. Like, if he throws that in front of him, Devontae Smith has 2 touchdowns, and I get more fantasy points. So screw you, Jalen Hurts. I wanted more fantasy points. All right, but I'm going to take Eagles to win that game. You know, I think 31... I'll say 31-21. That defense kind of scares me. Just your defense does. Just a little bit.
I agree.
But then we're going to get to our final game. Caleb, we'll let you start off because it's your team. Rams at Bengals, and this is some blasphemy right here. The Bengals are 1.5-point favorites. How?
Well, we know that Joe Burrow is not good at football in September.
And he's not playing.
Oh, he's not even playing?
More than likely not.
He's not
He's not even playing.
They're gonna baby that calf injury. They want him to come back 100%.
Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah. I'm taking my Rams all day, then. Confidently taking my Rams. No Joe Burrow? Joe Mixon hasn't done anything? No. Rams going to win this one 35-20.
Yeah,
They're going to put up some points. Tutu's going to go on for a couple scores.
If the
Kyron's going to get 2 or 3 more.
If the Bengals don't have Joe Burrow, and you guys allow them to score 20 points, I'm going to be
Raheem. This Raheem.
He kept Geno Smith and that all-star team down to 13. I think you guys can keep it under 6.
It's Raheem. I don't trust Raheem to do anything.
I do.
All right. Hire him as a head coach. Rams get some picks.
I would.
I think I'm also gonna have to go with the Rams because this offense is built around Joe Burrow. They gave him weapons to throw to, and now Joe Burrow's not there. So this offense doesn't really have somebody to lead them.
Jamar backup.
Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Making his NFL debut.
I think that the person that's leading this team right now is probably, or this offense right now is probably Jamar Chase because he's the only other person that I could see doing it. So I gotta go with the Rams because they lost by 7 points to the best team in the NFL right now. So, but I think I'm not gonna go with a blowout, but I will go 24-14 just because I think the Rams defense will hold the offense.
All right, I'm going with the Bengals. Absolutely, like the Bengals. I think they're just going to win this game. Yeah, no, we're going with the Rams, guys. It's a full sweep here. Matthews, even if Joe Burrow was playing, Rams would win this game. Now, I lied to you. I don't really actually think it's going to be 55-0 in that Giants game. That one I'm going to say probably more like 31-10 Niners. This game, I really do see a shutout. Like, I don't know what it is. I just have a weird feeling this is just going to be a hard game to watch unless you're a Rams fan. Like, Kyron Williams might go off for 150 yards and like 3 touchdowns this week. Like, the Bengals' run defense hasn't looked great.
He's a top 5 back in the NFL.
No, all I'm saying is you're 0 for 1 on running backs this season so far. You hated on Swift, and then he ran all over the Vikings.
Keep talking bad about my man. Leads the NFL in scores.
No, it'll be
27-0. Rams win this game. Okay.
See it.
Last thing. Any takeaways you guys want to bring up? Anything else you want to mention? Is there anything?
Puka to the hall.
Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up. There we are. Thank you. You know who Puka kind of reminds me of right now?
I call him Puka.
Hey, dude, he's calling him Puka.
It's Puka.
I'm calling it Puka.
Disrespect.
It's how it's. Oh man, like Puka. Is that how it's said? Puka.
Puka. I think he's Hawaiian or something.
But as an Eagles fan, you would know this. You know who he has this kind of tendency that's reminding me of a guy who was a late round pick, and he's just bursting out of nowhere. Like, whoa, where did this guy come from?
Terrell Owens.
Travis Fulgham. Travis Fulgham had like 4 straight games of 100 yards, and if he kept getting the ball, he probably would be great still to this day. He had a little bit of an ego. But right now, Puka has this... He plays a lot like him. He's a physical receiver. But Puka, I'll tell you this. Puka can run a route. Like those routes are crispy. And also, Matthew Stafford's a lot better than 2020 Carson Wentz was.
I also think that he's a lot more reserved. Like I don't think he has.
Yeah, he doesn't have that ego like Travis Fulgham. But like there was a time I guarantee you thought Travis Fulgham. You're like, hold on, we might have found our number 1 out of nowhere.
Maybe.
You're disrespecting Puka.
What's going to happen when Cooper Kupp comes back?
You know what I think Puka Nacua is? He's Cooper Kupp. Like, honestly, here's what people don't understand. Like, don't underestimate Matthew Stafford's ability to, like, force someone into being a great receiver. Like, Calvin Johnson, obviously stud, physical stud. But the reason his numbers are insane is because Matthew Stafford forced him the ball, and he has the arm to get him the ball in any situation. So right now, Nakua is the number one for Stafford. So he's going off.
Who's your backup right now?
Right being. Because,
Why haven't you guys signed a quarterback?
Stetson is who knows where. MIA.
Can you guys just do me a personal favor, please? Just sign the guy that's
I'd rather see Carson Wentz play, honestly. Like, if it came down to it, I would rather watch Carson Wentz than Brett Rypien. But, the Rams don't consult me about roster decisions.
Should.
If they do, I'll be sure to let them know.
Please.
That we'd like to see Carson Wentz.
Yeah. Because they fixed Baker Mayfield. Maybe they can fix. They can't fix him. I'm sorry. He's unfixable. It hurts. Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, the Commanders-Broncos game. I want to go back to this. I want to go back to this last play. I want to go back to the Hail Mary that was thrown. It was
that almost
bobbled 3 times and caught for a touchdown. That brought them 2 points down. The Broncos are 2 points down. And if they did not miss, if that 2-point conversion wasn't batted away, that would have been into overtime. And if the Broncos came back,
we would have lost.
There was a lot of PI went uncalled this week.
Yep.
Sean Payton has always said he has a conspiracy that the NFL is against him. And the more I think about it, it might be true. Because, 2 of the most egregious PI
calls. One of the worst PIs. They benefited the Rams. But, karma won out in the Super Bowl when they lost. And they didn't get a touchdown because of a PI.
I'll say this. I'm not saying he's the reason that the Chiefs suck right now because he's not there. But Eric Bieniemy better get a head coaching job because the Commanders scored 35 points on offense, pure offense, for the first time since 2015.
Broncos. Remember, Rams put up 50 on them last year. Same defense.
And I'll say this. I have a prediction for what's going to come this offseason. Sean Payton's going to get himself a new quarterback. I think that's pretty much set in stone. Russell Wilson's not Russell Wilson. He's great in the first half.
Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson. He's never been good. He has never been good. The only thing that made Russell Wilson good was beast mode. Here's what Russell Wilson's good at. Sorry, wrong hand. That's it. That's all he can do. Or run around in the pocket. If you keep him in the pocket, you make him play quarterback, he stinks. He's always stunk.
You've always been on it. I got to give you credit for it. But I'll say that he's not what they thought he would be. And he's great in the first half when the coaching's behind him. But in that second half, he's been the worst second half quarterback in football right now. It's horrible. And he's the reason we came back. If he doesn't get strip sacked, throw us a million meatballs to pick off. He's the reason we came back in that game. But my other thing is Vance Joseph will not be the defensive coordinator by next year. My prediction is it's going to be who was in the news to become the defensive coordinator. Rex Ryan. I don't know if you guys saw him on Get Up this week. He looked pretty I'm ready.
Yeah, the issue though is a lack of talent, but
I think
another offseason might help him out there.
Yeah.
I also think that going back to Russell Wilson, I think that if the Commanders' defense didn't bobble that ball around, no, I think if the Commanders' defense didn't bobble that ball around, then it wouldn't have gotten so close because he threw it right to. I mean, obviously it's a Hail Mary, but there's 2 receivers behind everybody, and he threw it to the crowd of 4 corners that were trying to intercept it.
He didn't have the arm.
Yeah.
Man, those 2 passes from Sam Howell, though.
Terry McLaurin made that one. I don't know why. He threw into double coverage and lost both of them.
Hey. Jalen Hurts going to make that throw.
He can throw into double coverage. We've seen it.
Jalen Hurts wouldn't be able to get it there. Jalen Hurts is the weakest arm in the division. We'll get that on.
He's a heck of a Hail Mary.
Hey, man.
Remember when we were having that conversation? Anyway, anything else you guys would like to add?
No. Fun start to the season.
It's a fun
It'd be nice
start.
if people stop getting hurt, though.
Please, football gods, we're begging you.
Yeah, Nick Chubb's career might be over now. There's a chance of it.
He survived it once.
He did, but he has to have it reconstructed again.
Anyway, please subscribe, and until next time.
To be continued.